Hello, welcome back to the channel. So this is, I suppose it's a follow-up video to one I did ages ago, which was painting 8th Army, where I had some 8th Army on the spinner, and it was a work in progress at the time, but now I finished the army. So just like I've been doing with my other projects, I'm doing a wee showcase of what I've done, what I've finished, learning points, and talk a bit about the army. Now this is a special army for us, so when we set up the War Games Club at the ACVC ACVC Charity War Games Fellowship, as we've called the Wargaming Club, we did a slow grow league. So we played 2 games at 500 points, 2 games at 750, 2 games at 1,000. Now, as it turns out, playing on your own, I got some of the rules wrong with bot action, so I'm glad I didn't do any how to play bot action videos then. But what it did do was allow me to finish my army. So I thought I'd show off some of the stuff I've done, especially vehicles and infantry. And then my next video will do like the full army showcase and then talk a bit about my learning points with bot action and how the army plays. So first up, we have my little Bren carrier formation. So what I've done is the sort of desert colour. Some of the transfers, some of the painting is transfers. Some of it is hand painted on. So learning points with these fellas is I've sprayed them like a desert colour, painted in my metals and blacks. Then I've used sort of a reddy shade over top. I think this was Reichland Earth shade. Traditionally I'd do it at Agrax. Then what I've done is used a sponge and done a bit of sponge work on it. And I've also done sponge work on a bit of the helmets. You'll see later on the infantry. So I just think that wee bit of extra weathering comes up lovely with these guys. I love the British grey and desert camouflage colour. So pretty much the same. This is meant to be like a command carrier, or if I'm going to have a carrier where I don't have 2 Brens on, I'll talk about that in another video. And I know the Indians had their own carriers in the desert, which were wheeled, not tracked. But in lieu of having it, I've got this. So I've done a sort of a British army for the desert, and I'm also got enough infantry to do an Indian platoon. So I will be doing an Indian platoon. That is currently work in progress limbo. And there you go. There's some of my work in progress Indian soldiers. So that's my Brens. Now, the other thing, 25 pounder. I wouldn't leave home without it. Really nice kit. She's bits of rock, a bit of stone rather on the base. Now my advice, I have painted this. If you're putting bits of stone on your bases, it is really effective, as you can see, but still paint it. Otherwise it just looks like out of scale stone. And again, you'll see that weathering on the front of the gun plate there. And they kind of catch that reddish. So I said Reichland flesh shade. It might not be Reichland flesh shade. It might have been sepia, but I suspect it was flesh shade. It's been a while since I painted these. These were painted way back in January, February. It is now December. So other things we've been doing. So, boom, Stuart. Can't leave one without him. Playing bot action by all accounts. This isn't being fully min-maxed. So you'll see it's only got 3 machine guns on it. But I've been doing some 15mm desert stuff and reading Desert Warfare, and I really like the idea that the wee Stuart tanks being out there charging on hussars across the desert. This is video is bent, almost snapped, but that's okay. But you see a lot of transfer work and painting on the symbols really does make the models come to life, and you'll notice a wee bit of that sponging effect weathering. I think I took a dark brown or an off black and a wee bit of silver there, just a tiny bit of silver in the black as well, you see just on the front underneath there. Also, if you're putting transfers on, do a bit of weathering effect over the transfers, and that makes the transfers look less like a transfer, less shiny. So there's my little Stuart, little tank that could. Now, Martin, who's been on the channel before, when we were talking about doing desert forces, we actually talked about using bigger scale models for the tanks. So the tanks, we're only going to have one or two on the field, would have more of an impact. So this is a Tamiya kit. So if bot action is 156, this is 148. I think that's a difference. Just means the tank's a bit more chunkier. So this is my Matilda, I want to say it. Again, I couldn't resist using that grey colour scheme. Again, looking at the paint jobs, is that paint or transfer? I can't quite tell, but a wee bit of weathering effect on it. Now, what's really interesting about the Tamiya model kits, if I take the top off, you might be able to see inside. You actually get a couple of metal weights with it, so the kit has a bit of weight to it, which is quite nice. When I was doing this, I started volunteering at the ACVC Hub, sitting with all the weathering, and one of the things we do there is model making. So I've had access to, getting some advice off model makers and stuff and sponging, and I think the weathering does just make it look really effective. Let's throw out some infantry. You'll have seen these in another video, but one of the things I have done, you'll notice, is again a bit of sponge work on the helmets. Yeah, a bit of weathering effect, and even just a simple fact that you can see it there of putting like a wee bit of deserty tufts on the bases. Yes, the desert, there is deep desert where there's no vegetation, but actually a lot of the fighting was at the coastal zones. And when I was watching, I think it's Tobruk, I think it's called Tobruk, which is a story of, I think it's Czechoslovakian troops in British service fighting, obviously at the Battle of Tobruk. You get to see how sort of rocky and the terrain is, and a bit of scrub as well. So that's what I wanted to represent on those bases. In the next video, I'm actually going to have the whole army out, arranged via squads, and talk about my learning points with the British. And spoilers, the bot action tournament, I came at it, not an expert at bot action, I played my fair share, but I'm good at tactics, I like to think. And I managed a clean sweep. I won all 6 games and took the title. But anyway, I'll talk about that in the next video when I show off the army. But thanks for watching. Hope you're having a great time with the hobby at the moment. And if you're doing British 8th Army, let us know what you think. And any other top tips you'd like to share with people. But anyway, that's a bye for now. That's goodbye.